Hey everyone, I'm back with another Challenge Enthusiast update about what I've been doing. Lately, I've been getting back into playing challenging games, and as such, I think it's time for another update, and hopefully there'll be more of these in the near future as I continue to grind games again for the site. My goal is to reach S rank, which is 2,500 total points, and as of right now, I only have 1,280 points. So it'll be quite a grind, but I'm sure I'll be able to reach S rank with enough dedication. Now with that out of the way, let's go over the 3 games I'm going over in today's video. First of all is a game that a lot of you might be familiar with, which is Geometry Dash. Somewhat recently, Geometry Dash updated on the site to include 2.2 content. This came with 2 major shifts. The first is that more gold coins are required for the objective, and this seemed to push the site to making getting all gold coins an objective. So now you're required to beat every single map pack to get points, not just enough for the last secret point achievement. This was a very minor change for me since I had already beaten every single map pack anyways, so I just had to go get all the new coins in 2.2, which I did on day 1 of the update. Though nothing really changed, I just got more free points. The major change that happened was that the Gauntlet objective got split into 2 objectives. The first being unchanged and just being beat all 2.1 gauntlets, which I had done since I joined the Challenge Enthusiasts. But the new objective is beat all 2.2 gauntlets, obviously. For a majority of these gauntlets, it's not too challenging to beat them since they have a lot of non-demons in them. There were a few gauntlets, however, that were miserable to beat. I'll be honest, when 2.2 came out and Rob started adding in gauntlets, I did not care to beat them if I couldn't one-attempt all the levels. I had no interest in bothering. I stand by my opinion that for the most part, I'd rather beat map packs than gauntlets. But once Challenge Enthusiasts updated Geometry Dash, I realized I couldn't avoid them anymore, and I was shocked to learn just how bad some of these gauntlets were. For this video, I'll just go over my top 5 least favorite gauntlets, and I'll give a quick reason why they suck so bad to beat. So for number 5, we have the NCS1 gauntlet. This gauntlet is really close to all the other whatever gauntlets, but this has a few levels that just make me super frustrated playing. Berserker was annoying at first, but I got it fairly quickly, but Next Cap Soon just was not enjoyable for me. These couple levels put it apart from all the other whatever gauntlets and makes it stand out above to be a part of my least favorite. For number 4, we have the Galaxy Gauntlet. I don't think I need to explain why the World Gauntlets are kind of frustrating to play. A lot of levels were made with what feels like zero regards for the fact that they're supposed to be levels in a video game, and more so feel like they are just trying to be incredible art pieces to win the contest. Fizzy Fossils, I recall just finding it very frustrating. Sorry to all of my buddies who built a part in it, your parts look very pretty. Ending with Xanadu was very annoying as well, just so frustrating. As for number 3, we have the NCS2 Gauntlet. Wow, that seemed like a good contest. Both of the NCS gauntlets ended up in my top 5 least favorite gauntlets. Honestly, I think all 5 of these levels were just unenjoyable. I did not have any fun beating this. Gauntlets like these are the reason why I didn't bother to beat them as they came out. The only thing to get me to beat this gauntlet was just that it was worth points on some unrelated website. WannaCry is worth mentioning above all the others though. I don't care how hyped this level was when it was released. The gameplay is just way too choppy to justify it being left in the state it was, and still is. I did not enjoy playing this after seeing how hyped it was for all that time. For number 2, we have the Universe Gauntlet. Wow, I'm sensing a theme here. Maybe we don't need to make multiple gauntlets to jam all the unfun levels into. I feel like I'm beating a dead horse by just saying Bismarck, but like, Bismarck? I don't think I really need to say much else. Grid of the Soul is also very unenjoyable, and I also really dislike Lutetia, but I really didn't dislike any level quite like I dislike a saddle. Oh, wow, I basically just stated every single level in the gauntlet as being something unenjoyable. I think I know why it's number 2. And finally, for my top 1 least favorite gauntlet, we have the Water Gauntlet. Now, this is really just because of a weird hindsight on Rob's part, but he really went and put a whole bunch of XXL medium demons into one gauntlet. Every single level in this gauntlet was just unenjoyable because it was just so long and just hard enough to where I would waste minutes just dying halfway through. And ending on Calypso Blitz really didn't help at all. Again, I'm sorry to all my buddies who built in it, it still looks very pretty. It's mostly fine, I guess. It didn't really take me too long, but this was the last level I did before finishing them all because I just couldn't with all of these levels before it. They were just slightly too annoying and long to want to do attempts on, and I feel like that's worse than having bad gameplay. After a lot of effort, I finally beat every gauntlet though, and as Rob keeps adding more, I have been beating them as they come out. Since doing all of these, the only new gauntlets that have been released are the Space and Cosmos gauntlets and the Treasure Gauntlet. And all 3 of those are not challenging enough to cause me pain. Now with all the changes and points being buffed, Geometry Dash actually reached enough points to become a tier 5, and in fact is worth more now than Open Hexagon, which I have mixed feelings about. I guess now I need to beat something worth more points than Geometry Dash to be a new hardest game. Moving away from Geometry Dash, I think it's time I finally talk about this game. I beat 50/20 mode just over a year ago as of writing this, and I still have quite a lot to say. I wanted to beat all of the Five Nights at Freddy's max modes so I could do one mega retrospective, but I don't have enough drive to beat the others right now. I wanted to push for every FNAF game that was hard enough to be added to the Challenge Enthusiast site, and I will put my opinions here now for anyone watching who wants to push more on this. We already have Ultimate Custom Night, Five Nights at Freddy's 4, and Sister Location. I think for what other FNAF games that could be added, FNAF 1 isn't hard enough. I beat the entire game deathless. FNAF 3 probably isn't hard enough either. You could technically beat FNAF 3 max mode with a cheese strat, and also some people have beaten the night by literally doing nothing at all. FNAF 6 doesn't have a hard enough official mode. That leaves just FNAF 2, and I feel like that game could be added. FNAF 2 is very similar to Sister Location, where you have many different challenges that award a plushie as a trophy, with the hardest being Golden Freddy or 10/20 mode, which notoriously is a very luck-based but challenging night. I could see it being added to the site worth maybe 5 or 10 points, otherwise no FNAF games are hard enough I think. With that aside, let's focus on 50/20. If you've been living under a rock for the last decade, Ultimate Custom Night is the finale to the Five Nights at Freddy's series, where you have to survive against just about every important character in all of FNAF at once. Beating 50/20 mode is probably the highlight of any FNAF player's career, at least until they learn about the max mode community and realize that they've only just begun. Beating 50/20, I still stand by not being too difficult. All you need to get down is the first 30 seconds of the night, and as soon as you're consistent with that, you're probably going to win very quickly. Basically, the general strategy for beating 50/20 mode requires you to buy a death coin as soon as possible, kill Funtime Foxy, and an office stall for the rest of the night. There's a quirk in this game where a majority of the animatronics just cannot kill you so long as you're not in the cameras. Some characters can even be stalled if you're just looking at them on the cameras. So this really makes 50/20 more like 25/20, and without all the distractions it's more like 19/20. So really, all the difficulty is in the first few seconds when you're setting everything up. Basically, what you need to do is start the night, turn on the power generator, turn off the fan, put your vent snare in the far left corner to stop Happy Frog, Pig Patch, and Mr. Hippo, place a vent snare if you want to, go to Toy Freddy and block Mr. Hugs if you want to, and then start farming coins and make sure to be mindful of all the office threats as you're spamming camera up and camera down. Every time you put the camera back down, close off Balloon Boy or JJ and click Help You to farm coins, and be mindful of Golden Freddy as well. Once you have 10 coins, go to the price counter, buy a death coin, go to Funtime Foxy's camera and death coin him. Wait then for Plush Trap to spawn in from Zor, look at Plush Trap, as soon as he leaves switch the camera too. From there you just office stall for the rest of the night. Of course this is an oversimplification, but if you watch a 50/20 run you'll see just this happens in most runs. Of course there are other factors. You want to follow what's known as the GMB cycle so that Puppet, Chica, Jacko, Chica, Music Man, and Lefty don't get mad. Overall my experience was an interesting one. If you watched me for a long enough time, some of you might remember that when the game first came out, I was grinding to beat 50/20 and got a heartbreaking fail at 4:16, which is 14 seconds away from the end. There wasn't enough info back then, so a lot of runs were just winging it, and I mistimed my flips and died to Foxy when I was forced to do one last flip. If I didn't die then, I could have been one of the first dozen to beat 50/20, but unfortunately, I'll just have to settle for having just done it now. When I beat the night, it was honestly very emotional for me. This was a goal I had finally realized after so many years. I didn't really care about the Challenge Enthusiast points, and if I'm being honest, I didn't beat this for Challenge Enthusiasts. I beat it for the Maximo community since I wanted something on my profile.
Yes! I did it! I finally did it! I can't believe I did it! Finally!
It was very satisfying to have beaten the night and to finally put UCN away for a while. Beating 50/20 mode awarded me with 90 points at the time, but as of like a week ago it got nerfed to 85 points since they now added beating 45/20 as a means of earning some of those points. 45/20 is extremely doable, so I encourage anyone watching, if you want some points for Challenge Enthusiasts, you can get 10 points by doing the most basic easy run ever. Now then, it's time for the real big game of this video. Crash Bandicoot is one of my favorite franchises of all time, and it was no surprise to anyone who knew me that I went back and beat the Insane trilogy the moment I started doing Challenge Enthusiast. Ever since then, I was waiting for Crash Bandicoot 4 It's About Time to release on Steam so it could be added to the site, and it finally released in October of 2022, which begs the question, why am I talking about it only now? Now, Crash 4 has had somewhat of a reputation for having insane completion goals, and I had got 100% completely blind. So for a long time, I was just casually beating the game. At the time, I thought this was going to be the hardest game ever because I didn't understand how points worked in Challenge Enthusiast. So I'll quickly go from each objective from top to bottom, explaining how many points it's worth, what you need to do, and my experience with it. First up is the objective Insanely Perfect, worth 15 points. For this goal, you need to collect every single Insanely Perfect relic from all 38 stages, and to obtain all the platinum relics for the flashback tapes in the game. I'll first talk about the flashback tapes. In Crash 4, some levels have a tape located partway through, though as you progress they slowly go further and further back. Getting the flashback tape requires you to reach it without dying a single time. From there you can go to the hub world and you can play the tapes from either these machines or the level select screen. From here you get to play what almost feels like bonus stages from the original trilogy. Getting a platinum relic only requires you to beat the stage while breaking every single box. Some of these are quite easy, but a few are a bit annoying. I actually tracked all of my stats for every level, so I can give what the top 5 hardest levels were for me to get all the relics on. For number 5, we have Navigational Awareness with 12 deaths. I have no clue how this has the 5th most deaths. For number 4, we have Countdown Crate Intro with 15 deaths. For number 3, we have Replacement Considerations with 27 deaths. And then the next two are a tie, so for a conjoined first place we have Resilience Evaluation and the Gauntlet with 71 deaths each. Overall, doing all of these literally only took me 3 hours. It was not a big deal at all. Now as for the Insanely Perfect relics, they require you, on each and every level, to break every single box and to do so without dying. For some levels this is super easy, but other levels have 500 or 600 boxes and are minutes upon minutes long. That being said, there was one level that gave me the most pain. There was a different level that required more resets, but nothing will ever compare to Crash Landed and how frustrating it was to get the Insanely Perfect relic on it. This level has it all. A very long level with a high box tally and above all, several different animal riding sections where the hitboxes don't actually work the way you expect them to. Every time you miss a box in an animal riding section, you can't go back and retry it because animal riding sections don't allow you to backtrack. This level is the worst level ever made, and I never want to play it ever again. This level alone will be the reason I never replay Crash Bandicoot 4. Period. Full stop. Getting all the Insanely Perfect relics took me 44 hours, but this was also because I just was playing the rest of the game blind. So a lot of that time was also on me getting all the other gems per level, including the inverted levels, which is a whole other can of worms I won't be going into since they have no place in this video. Next up we have the objective.
It's about time.
Which is 20 points. For this goal, all you need to do is get 38 Platinum Time Trial relics on the 38 main levels. If you're unfamiliar with Crash Bandicoot games, after Crash Bandicoot Warped, most Crash games have time trials of just beating the level as quickly as possible. Throughout the level, the box has changed into being either empty crates or time-stopping crates. To get the Platinum relics, you have to achieve a certain time on the level, which is usually the most challenging time to get. For the most part, I actually really enjoyed getting all the Platinum relics. I think the method of going fast in this game can be incredibly fun and satisfying. I don't think I really struggled much getting the Platinum relics. Some of the levels were a bit frustrating, but eventually I finished them off and was completely fine. The real pain came from some of the levels just being really long, so attempts take forever. In the end, it only took me 16 additional hours to get all the Platinum relics. And now for the final objective. We have Spin to Win, which is worth 45 points. To get this, you need to get all of the developer time trial relics. This is an identical process to the previous objective, but so much more frustrating. In Crash 4, after you obtain the Platinum relic, the game shows you the time you need for the developer relic, and if you beat it, they reward you with a special purple relic. What I didn't really mention in the last section is that in Crash 4, you can get a speed boost by rhythmically tapping spin repeatedly. There are also slide spins that can be very fast as well. A lot of time trials revolve around finding a good rhythm and slide spinning to go insanely fast. This can be incredibly satisfying in some levels where it's not that hard to get into a rhythm, or in econo levels where you can do this bug to go incredibly fast by doing the spins before switching them on. But on some levels, it can be a real chore. For the remainder of this video, I'll just go over the levels that gave me the most pain. Keep in mind, however, I started doing the dev relics in 2022 when the game released on Steam, and I got just under half the dev relics before taking a massive break, because I just could not with this game for a long time. I recently got back into it and got the rest done in about 2 weeks, but some of these are still burned into my mind. Just going in level order, let's start with a real grind. A real grind has an insanely tight dev time that requires you to be almost perfect the whole way through. At this point of the grind, you're not quite used to the movement required to make getting dev times super consistent, though it can feel really challenging to find your flow. And there are these stupid cycles with the sharks that you need to nail if you wish to have a good time later on. Whoever set this time did not need to try this hard for the third level in the game. Next up we have Jetboard Jetty. This level is incredibly long and takes absolutely ages to get through. And on top of that, the cycles at the beginning of the level are brutal. Something you'll find out really quickly is I can't stand levels that require you to meet stupid cycles. I personally think that when you collect a time trial clock, the level should reset all of the cycles to be on the same pattern so that every attempt has the same fair ground of what the cycle starts with. Some levels later on have such stupid cycles and I just could not stand them. Later on in this level, after you get past all the cycles, there's this side-scrolling part that is also super brutal because you have to get through it fast, but if you make one mistake, you'll fall into the water and have to restart. This level was misery for the entire time I was stuck on it. The next horde level has gotta be Offbeat. Offbeat is just cycle hell. Every single thing in this level is a cycle and you have to keep pushing as fast as you possibly can. The Death Ghost always seems to have the perfect cycle too, it just made working through this level absolute misery. Not that far after that is the level Ship Happens. How the hell did they get away with that in a kid's game? Ship Happens is one of the few levels in the game where you start as Cortex and then switch back over to Crash after his section. And honestly, I just find the transition from playing as Cortex to playing as Crash so hard to react to that I wasted so many runs on this level due to all the ice physics and water hazards everywhere. Especially because the level basically requires you to keep Aku masks to have invincibility for the section near the end of the level. This level single-handedly is the reason why I took a 3-year break from the game. Just a few levels later in the same world, we got Building Bridges. Similar to Ship Happens, this level starts with an alternate character and then switches to Crash later on. And again, this level is just cycle hell. The entirety of Tana's section of this level is cycle after cycle after cycle, and it's so frustrating trying to get a good cycle that you don't have to stall on. And then after that you have an annoying animal control section where you have to spam the boost button pretty frequently, but if you miss the boxes, you just miss the relic. Next we have Rock Block. We are really getting to see all 3 alternate characters back to back. This level has you playing as Dingodile, and then it later switches to Crash. This level is only frustrating because the Dingodile section is so boring to play. It's not interesting at all because there's no speed tech that makes him go any faster, and then you just die repeatedly as Crash in this lava section, because you have to meet the cycle of the moving platforms, and if you're slightly off, you just instantly die. It's just a bore to play, and it makes it frustrating because of this. And the last level I want to mention is Toxic Tunnels. Toxic Tunnels is a really long level with a lot of challenging platforming, and once again, a need to meet certain cycles to stay on pace for that relic. I actually failed this relic by 0.01 seconds, which is the only time in the entire game I missed a relic by that little. I beat the death time literally 2 attempts later, so it was okay in the end, but this level was just frustrating for the same reason as all the others, needing to meet a cycle. Now, I ended the whole dev time trial escapade with the very last level in the game seeing double, and I'm not gonna lie, it was very satisfying playing this and finishing the game once and for all. This level isn't very frustrating and is actually quite fun once you get a knack for Cortex's part. Finally getting that last purple relic really cemented the fact that I can finally uninstall this game and remove it from my favorite section on Steam so I don't have to remember the fact that I'm still needing to do one last thing. There we go. I think that's it. Oh my god, I'm done. Finally! That's my dead name. Overall, I think Crash 4 is a fun game, but it takes a while to really feel that, especially with a few of the levels being not fun at all. I don't think I'll ever play it again, it's just way too repetitive to put myself through that. But I'm really glad to finally be done with it and to have a new top 5 hardest challenge enthusiast game added to my roster, along with the other 2 games. With this, I now sit at 1,280 points like I mentioned earlier. I have plans to go for S rank, which means I need another 1,220 points, but I guess I'm over halfway there now. I also have plans to beat a tier 6 game. Yeah, they added 2 new tiers of games to the site. This won't be for quite a long time though, and I have a game in mind, I just will need to put a lot of time into learning how to play it effectively. Anyways, if you made it this far, I appreciate y'all watching. I hope to do more videos like this soon. It's just always been a big effort to beat the games for these videos. But I have quite a few I can discuss, including a certain Souls-like I need to finish before writing the next script. Until then, I'll see y'all next time, and don't forget to check the Challenge Enthusiast website. I'll put it in the description. Bye bye!